The Church didn't just exclude the Gospel of Mary from the Bible. They buried it for 1,500 years, sealed in jars, hidden in the Egyptian desert, erased from history. Why? Because it proved Mary Magdalene wasn't a prostitute. She was Christ's primary disciple, teaching the inner fire that turned ego's lead into Christ's self's gold. The Church couldn't control that, so they erased her, until 1945, when an Egyptian farmer restored the evidence. December 1945, Nag Hammadi, Egypt. A farmer digging for fertilizer strikes something hard, an earthen jar, sealed, buried near a cliff face. Inside, 52 texts, hidden since the 4th century. Among them, the Gospel of Mary. Here's what you need to understand. 4 Gospels made it into the Bible: Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. Dozens didn't. The Council of Nicaea in 325 AD decided which texts supported institutional control, which texts could be weaponized into creeds, hierarchies, and obedience. The Gospel of Mary didn't make the cut, not because it was false, because it was dangerous. It positioned Mary Magdalene as Christ's primary disciple. It taught direct Gnosis, inner knowing that bypassed priests, sacraments, and church authority. It described awareness as alchemical fire, the furnace that transmutes ego into Christ consciousness. You can't tax that. You can't gatekeep it. You can't sell salvation when people discover the kingdom is inside them. So in 591 AD, Pope Gregory XIII solved the problem. He declared Mary Magdalene a prostitute, not because there was evidence. There wasn't. Because a repentant whore is easier to control than a primary apostle teaching inner fire. Her gospel was buried, her teachings erased, her authority obliterated. For 1,500 years, the Church controlled the narrative, until that farmer in 1945 broke the seal. Drop a comment. Why did the Church fear Mary's gospel more than any other text? Let's break the 1,500-year silence. So what does the Gospel of Mary actually say? Here's what they didn't want you to read. Mary says, "What is hidden from you will be revealed to you. For there is nothing hidden that will not be made manifest." This isn't theology. It's instruction. The kingdom isn't in a church. It's not in a sacrament. It's inside you. And the key to unlocking it? Awareness. Mary continues, "The Son of Man is within you. Follow after him. Those who seek him will find him." Not out there. Not in Rome. Not in rituals. Within you. This is why the Church buried it. Because once you understand that Christ consciousness is your birthright, you don't need their permission anymore. Here's where it gets alchemical. Mary teaches about spiritual adultery. She says, "There is no sin. Rather, you yourselves are what produces sin when you act in accordance with the nature of adultery." This isn't sexual, it's spiritual. Adultery means identifying with the false self, the ego, instead of your Christ nature. When you act from ego, you create suffering. When you act from awareness, you transmute it. This is alchemical language. Ego is the lead. Awareness is the fire. Christ self is the gold. Mary isn't teaching theology. She's teaching spiritual physiology, the process of inner transformation. She says, all natures, all formed things, all creatures exist in and with one another, and will again be resolved into their own roots, because the nature of matter is dissolved into what belongs to its nature. This is Gnosis, direct knowing. The understanding that all forms, including your ego, are temporary expressions of one consciousness. And the biological site where this happens? Your pineal gland. The gateway Mary's Gospel describes isn't metaphorical, it's biological. When awareness becomes the fire, the pineal gland becomes the crucible. But here's the problem the Church couldn't solve. In the Gospel of Mary, Peter challenges her authority. Peter says, "Did he really speak with a woman in private, without our knowledge? Should we all turn and listen to her? Did he prefer her to us?" This isn't about gender. It's about control. Peter represents institutional authority, the hierarchy that would become the Church. Mary represents direct knowing, Gnosis that bypasses all intermediaries. Levi defends her. If the Savior made her worthy, who are you to reject her? Surely the Savior's knowledge of her is completely reliable. But Peter won, not because he was right, because he had institutional power. His lineage became the papacy. His authority became doctrine. And Mary's Gospel, the one teaching you don't need Peter's permission, was buried. If this is restoring what the Church erased, subscribe. We're rebuilding the path they buried. So here's what the 1500-year burial couldn't destroy. Awareness is the alchemical fire, the furnace that transmutes ego's lead into Christ self's gold. Mary didn't teach belief. She taught process, not creeds, not rituals, not obedience to external authority. She taught the biological pathway to Christ consciousness. Here's how it works. First, you identify the false self, the ego, the lead, the part of you that believes it's separate from source. Second, you apply awareness, not thinking about the ego, not analyzing it, not fighting it, witnessing it, with the fire of conscious attention. Third, the transmutation happens, not through effort, not through belief, through sustained awareness. The ego's lead dissolves, the Christ self's gold remains. This is what Mary taught. This is what the Church buried. Because if you can do this yourself, you don't need their salvation. You don't need their priests, their sacraments, their permission. Mary says, "Do not lay down any rule beyond what I determined for you, nor promulgate law like the lawgiver, or else you might be dominated by it. No external law, no intermediary, no gatekeepers, just you, your awareness, your inner fire. Your pineal gland is the biological site where this happens." The third eye mystics describe the seat of the soul Descartes identified. It produces DMT, the molecule that opens the gateway to non-dual consciousness. It regulates melatonin, the hormone that governs your circadian rhythm and spiritual perception. But in most people, it's calcified, dormant, suppressed by fluoride, processed food, artificial light. Awareness is the fire that decalcifies it. Not supplements, not techniques, sustained conscious attention. This is what Mary's Gospel describes. This is what the Church couldn't control. You are the alchemist. Awareness is your fire. Your ego is the lead. Your Christ self is the gold. If you're ready to ignite the fire Mary taught, hit like. Let's show the algorithm this isn't staying buried. For 1500 years, the Church controlled the narrative. Mary was a prostitute. Salvation required their permission. The kingdom was out there, not in here. 1945 broke the seal. The Gospel of Mary is restored. The alchemical path is clear. Awareness is the fire, ego is the lead, Christ's self is the gold. The only question left is, will you ignite the fire, or will you let their 1500-year suppression continue inside you?